Just kidding, it's literally a radio show. Tune in and listen live Tuesdays at 7 on KCAA.
KCAA Radio in the Inland Empire, the station that leaves no listener behind.
The views of the following show are not necessarily the views of broadcast management or its owner, Fred Lundgren. But then again, the views of broadcast management are, well, different. And now it's time for On the Mark Live with host Mark Westwood. Finally, a show about KCAA. Hot topics, a little locomotion, current events, news, laugh, reviews, and a little irreverence. And you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 3, 2, 1, Mark.
And good afternoon, good Wednesday afternoon to you here on a beautiful day in Southern California. I'm Mark Westwood on KCAA, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and broadcasting live high above Riverside from Box Springs Mountain, 102.3 FM. 3 radio stations in one, the trifecta of talk, the station that leaves no listener behind. What other positioning statement can I say? Anyway, we're here with On the Mark. Today we've got a special guest. I'll do this in a minute. Want to say hello to Andrew Caravella, our host.
Happy Hump Day.
And happy Hump Day to Carlos in the control room. Hi, Carlos. How you doing? He just waves hi at me. He just doesn't like to get on the microphone. Well, that's a radio guy, okay? Anyway, Carlos is glad. We're glad you're here giving us your expertise behind the controls. Anyway, we today have a very esteemed guest. Someone who protects us on a daily basis, who works with the men in brown shirts in Riverside County, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant Sheriff Chad Bianco, who is going to start his brand new show here on KCAA, 10 a.m. this week. Welcome and congratulations.
We are. Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Yes, and congratulations. He's also running for Sheriff of Riverside County.
Riverside County, yes, I am.
And we're glad to have him here. He'll start a show that's going to be called Lieutenant Chad Bianco and the Law in Riverside County, 10 a.m. Saturdays, right here on KCAA.
Outstanding. Looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
And if you're elected, of course, you'll be the only sheriff in 2 counties, 3 counties, 4 counties, even in Southern California, that has their own radio show.
Yes, we will. That'll be good. I think it'll be something new to start, and I think it will be received well with the public. And
Yeah, because I need a lot of legal advice, so I should tune in, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to give you legal advice. I'll be able to tell you what not to do, I think.
Okay, well, that works too.
Well, we've got some shows now here on KCA. We're kind of building this repertoire. We have Justice in the Law, which is a show on Saturdays at 4 p.m., and that's a very well-produced national syndicated show. Very nice. And we'll talk to you about that maybe a little later on. And also, we've got Justice Herb Jodell, who's got is a judge. He has his own show here. And then we've got a couple of lawyers that are here. And then we have some real estate shows. So KCA is all about finance a lot lately.
It's like the village people around here for radio shows.
That's what it seems
you got
like.
A police officer, a judge, a couple lawyers.
Right. So today,
for some interesting costumes.
Yes.
On our show, we like to bring in people. About 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had the new Assistant Sheriff of San Bernardino County, the first woman ever of San Bernardino County.
Big deal.
And her name was?
Lana Tomlin.
Lana Tomlin. And we had a great interview with her. And it's always good to bring people on and get to know them, get to know who these people are. Who is Chad Bianco from Riverside County who wants to be the sheriff?
Absolutely.
And,
someone that wants to make a difference.
Right. And so that's a good thing. You started your journey. And one of the things I read that I thought was very, very good is you started your journey in trouble.
I did. That's a good way to. That's a good way to look at it. I guess not really in trouble. I really was in trouble.
You were doing some business or something.
I was doing some business. I could tell you what not to do.
Okay,
that's
this
one
is
of those
good.
things.
This is where it comes in.
Yeah, I was young. I think I was 16 at the time, and that's what. I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing, and I had a brief encounter with a highway patrolman, and he spent a little bit of time with me and a little bit of personal time telling me about choices and paths, and he knew me personally just through sports, and so it was a life changer. It was very humiliating.
It's a positive reinforcing experience.
Absolutely, it was humiliating. It was very humbling, and it stays with me still today.
Yeah. But you admit it, and you admit, it's not the mistakes you make, it's what you do with them.
Absolutely.
And, of course, you went on, and you were inspired by this gentleman who handled you correctly.
Absolutely.
And handled his authority correctly and inspired you to go join up in the Sheriff's Academy?
Absolutely. Well, yes, it was several years later. And what he did, I mean, he was doing his job, and he ended up giving me a citation. But now, even looking back at how I could approach my job.
So we're trying to figure out what this is. How much was the citation for?
I really don't even remember. I was 16. My dad, I'm sure, could tell you. I'm pretty sure he made me pay it back, but I don't remember how much it was.
Okay, go ahead.
It was just a citation, but it wasn't for traffic either. But anyway, I've carried it onto my profession, and looking back, how he dealt with me, and I know that when I'm out there and when I'm dealing with especially youth, I enjoy encounters with youth because I can have that same influence on them as that he had on me.
Have you had full circle yet? Like, have you found a 16-year-old you that did the same offense and stuff, and you were like, oh my gosh, it's a time machine?
No, I have not, but I know eventually. I hope that does come around, because
I have a couple I'd like to volunteer.
yes, I'm sure. I know they're out there because I really have. I mean, there's countless teenagers that I had to deal with because of my job and with patrol.
Yeah.
And I thought of it at the time that I even told them, I had the same encounter, and you get to choose which path you take. And what was told to me by this highway patrolman is the same thing that was told by my dad. I mean, he was telling me the same thing all the time, but it means something different when it comes from someone else. And
someone that has a badge on.
Well,
right.
Absolutely. Or just a different adult, I think.
Yeah,
the badge may come into play too, and it's a little bit more of an authority figure than just a regular adult. But
I came from a military background. I understand what that respect is about.
no, for sure. So I know they're out there. There's been many of them. So I'm hoping that one day I do run across one that says, hey, I made it, and thank you.
Very cool.
24 years of experience patrolling on the streets. What did you do coming up to this point?
Well,
tell us a little bit about your career in the Sheriff's.
I started in 1993. I actually put myself through the Sheriff's Academy. I went to San Bernardino Sheriff's Academy. Mm-hmm. And then after the academy, picked up by Riverside Sheriff. That's the only place I've worked, starting in 1993. So I'm just shy of I'm in my 25th year, coming up on the 25th anniversary.
Does Riverside have their own Sheriff's Academy? They don't.
They do.
They do? Okay.
No, they do. At the time, I really didn't know much about them, but I heard that San Bernardino's was much harder, and I chose that one. I don't know.
Okay.
Whether it was a challenge or competitiveness, I don't know what it is, but I chose that one, and it worked out good for me.
Did you grow up in San Bernardino County or Riverside?
No,
County?
I'm actually from Utah. I grew up in Utah, and I moved here in 1989.
Just out of curiosity, what part of Utah?
The town was called Helper.
Helper.
Yes.
How ironic.
It is. It is. I never thought of it like that, but since you said it, and that's what we're talking about. Yeah. The name of the town came from, it's a mining town, a coal mining town. Mm-hmm. And then the railroad left this town that had to go up a large, through a canyon, that it was major incline. And so they needed helper engines to get the train up through the canyon.
So is that southern Utah near St. George or Kern, Salt Lake?
It's almost right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
It's directly between St. George and Salt Lake.
Wow.
In the mountains.
So there's not
there's not much around there.
Not much around there.
There was 1,200 people in the town that I grew up in.
Well, we're happy you made it out.
So am I. It's it was a great place to go from, and I go back there constantly, and I still have family there. And
good.
It's my kids love it there. My wife loves it there. It's a good place to say I was from.
In Utah, you understand wide open spaces.
Yes, you do.
Now, there's lots of cliffs and some beautiful red cliffs, and they do a lot of copper mining there. But you drive in Utah, you go for a long, long time. So now I kind of know your background as you started as a young adult.
Absolutely.
You had to be creative to get into trouble out there.
Yes, you did. You could find it pretty easily.
Okay. Well, let's focus on this. Some of the things. Do you like community-oriented policing, or?
I do, and community-oriented policing is a necessity. It's the way of law enforcement. It's the way that law enforcement should be, and it started in the late '90s, mid to late '90s, but it really took effect, or it really came to a center point, a focal point after 9/11, because what law enforcement realized is that we did not cooperate with other agencies. We did not cooperate with. There was a disconnect between law enforcement and the citizens of the community. So with the 9/11 disaster and the terrorists, they found that all of the residents around there knew those terrorists, and they knew or suspected what they were doing, but no one would cooperate with law enforcement. They wouldn't. They didn't get that. There was not that personal relationship where they felt they could report something that may not be a crime, but it was odd. That gut feeling. And so, that's where community-oriented policing really comes into play. And now it's a modern form of policing. You either have reactive policing, which that's what the Sheriff's Department is. Riverside Sheriff's Department is completely a reactive policing department. And then you have proactive, which proactive uses the philosophies of community-oriented policing to identify hot spots or
help preempt.
Absolutely, and
take proactive action. Yeah.
Yes, you identify a quality of life issue in that community, and you take a preventative enforcement action to make sure that it doesn't foster and get bigger.
My dad was on the police commission in the city of San Bernardino for about 10 years.
Nice.
And they believed at that point in cops, community action police, or
yes.
Community-oriented policing. And they have little retail strip mall shops and things like that where people could come in conveniently, talk to police officers.
Right.
Maybe it was a wee tip thing, or maybe it was just something that needed to get straightened out, or maybe it was a question they had. And it kind of put a face with police officers.
Absolutely.
It did, and it kind of tore down the wall and built a bridge, and that's a good thing, I think.
It is very much so. And me growing up in a town of 1,200, we had one police officer. He was the chief of police, so everyone knew him. He knew everyone, and that's the premise of community-oriented policing: is the officer assigned to that area knows everything that's going on there. And so, obviously, with a 24-hour operation, and we have more people than one, but you have 3 or 4 that is their beat and that is their area, and so they know all of the players. They know all of the businesses, the organizations, and the residents that give them the info that allow them to do their jobs. We don't have magic crystal balls. I mean, I wish we did, that we could solve crime, but we need the help of the public, and we need to work with them to fix all of our issues.
So if you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Lieutenant Sheriff Chad Bianco from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, who's running for county sheriff. He's also going to have a show here, and we're just talking about his philosophies. It's good to learn his philosophies and find out, what he's about and who he's about, and find out your supporters. And one of the things that I noticed was that you had a rather substantial contribution from the Riverside County Sheriff's Association.
I did.
Which is basically, essentially, I think, the union for the Sheriff's Department.
Right. The Deputies Association, Riverside County Sheriff's Department, there is the Association of Deputies, and it's called the Riverside Sheriff's Association. RSA has endorsed me, one of the organizations that has endorsed me, and they have substantially contributed to my campaign. We all know that money is needed in elections, especially a countywide election.
Well, you're running against an incumbent.
Running against an incumbent who really, in our county, he spends 24/7. That's all he does is campaign. He's an absentee sheriff. That's really why he's lost the respect and the support of the department. Is he's just a politician. He's not a sheriff anymore, and he's not engaged in the department, and he's not doing anything to make us be more engaged in the community to make a difference.
So basically, that's the rank and file, the Sheriff's Association.
Absolutely.
It's a union. They vote on who they give the money to. It's not like some big, union boss. They actually get together and they have a meeting and they decide
that's
what
right.
they're going to do.
No, it's made up of the deputy sheriffs, the men and women that are out patrolling Riverside County, that are doing the work, the line staff, and they have a vote, and they voted unanimously to endorse me, to support me in this election.
Yeah.
And I'm very honored for it. I know it's internally as a manager in the department, it's nice to be respected. It's nice to be liked.
Yeah.
And with that and the support that they've given me, they're looking at me to turn this department around.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to do it.
So you've got lots of support.
Yeah, make
from
sure
the
you
rank
send,
and file.
Yeah,
and you've got all these endorsements. Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, I was just gonna say you're going to want to make sure you send them a thank you card.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will. I've sent them a thank you card already.
Okay, good.
And
Kind of a big deal.
Yes,
I
it is.
expect that they want to
My-
be thanked too. I
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah, my wife will not let me do anything without thank you cards.
Good.
Speaking
good
of
wife.
wives,
Good wife.
your wife's name is
Denise?
Denise. I didn't want to say Christine because that's what I've been dealing with, but I've also talked
Oh,
to
yes.
Denise.
Yes.
I've also talked to your wife on the phone, getting this all set up. So here on your website it says happily married.
I am happily married. That's a good thing. The campaign's putting a little strain on it, but
Happy wife? Happy life. Okay.
That's right. But no, we're definitely happily married. 4 kids, 4 adult kids. I had a little. I'm glad that today they extended the tax day because I do my own taxes, and I did them, of course, yesterday. With this campaign, I'm a little busy. I do them last night, and everything was fine. And then this morning, I get an email that says it was rejected, and I claimed my youngest child as a dependent, and she's not my dependent anymore. So she has already filed her own taxes.
Oh, she beat you to it.
Yes, she did. And so mine was rejected because her social security number was in there. So
Right.
that was kind of a little tearjerker this morning that I realized I don't have any more kids.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of people that would like to be your dependents. So.
I'm sure they would.
Well, congratulations. So your youngest child has just turned 18.
No, she's 22.
Oh, 22.
She's 22. She's finished school. She's finished, she went on a career path, and she's now a firefighter with Calumet Mesa Fire Department.
Oh, very good.
Outstanding. Wow.
Yes.
That's no small task to get in the fire department.
very, very proud of her. I had to, we can't tell firefighter jokes at the dinner table anymore, and we have to be a little bit more cordial to them, the little rivalry.
Yeah, there's always that cat and dog kind of thing, fire department, law enforcement. Yeah.
That's right.
That's
But
great.
no, it's very good. So
How
she's
old's
my
your
youngest-
oldest child?
My oldest is 28.
Are they all helping on your campaign?
They all help in their own ways. My oldest is very intelligent kid, and he's a extremely good writer. So he is very involved in the social media aspect and
Oh, very good. Yeah.
any of the writing things that need to be done. Obviously, they're all supporting and they're all helping with various aspects of the campaign. It's a family affair for sure.
So what is the California Coalition of Law Enforcement Association?
That is one of the major law enforcement organization in the state. There's a couple of them. I believe that may be the largest. You're talking about another endorsement of mine in law enforcement.
Yeah, I see it right here. Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough that in 25 years and doing the job that I've done, and you don't do your job for recognition. You do it because you love doing it. But it's nice when you get a pat on the back or you get recognized for it. And my 25 years is coming to fruition now, where I have a very good reputation, and I'm getting the support of Southern California.
Okay. It happens.
Yes,
Yeah.
Southern California law enforcement. That is scale, but the CCLEA is California Coalition of Law Enforcement Agencies, and they represent over 80,000 law enforcement officers in the state.
That's a good bit.
It is. So I've gained their support and their endorsement, and things are going very well in the support bracket for me.
Well, good. And a little bit of money there. And then June 5th is the primary.
June 5th is the primary. Very important for all of you to go out and vote. And it's funny that a lot of people don't realize that they even vote for sheriff. And they think that because it's in the county and they may live in the city, they don't vote for it. But really, the sheriff is the widest elected official, the most prominent, or the most powerful, if you want to call it that, elected official in the county, because he's elected by everyone in the county rather than any type of district. So
A district or a ward or something like that.
So it's a countywide election. The only two are the district attorney and the sheriff. So every ballot, regardless of, it's a nonpartisan, so the sheriff is on every single ballot. June 5th, you got to get out there and vote.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's everybody's just one responsibility. I tell people when I try to motivate them to vote, I said, on my father's tombstone it says 3 wars: World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, Purple Heart, and he sacrificed a lot, and he is just one of a sea of many who sacrificed for a lot for our country. And we owe that to everybody who's done that or who has lost legs or whatever, just to do a simple thing and get out and vote. Learn about an issue. Find out. Ask a friend if you don't know. Ask read a little bit. It's very easy. Google. I mean, you'll find it out really, really quickly, and then just go vote. It's a very good thing. June 5th coming up. Lots of things have changed in our voting process, by the way. You can now ask for a registration and a ballot on the day of the election and vote on something called the CVS, conditional voting system, that's now been employed. And, like it or not, it's there. It becomes a provisional ballot, and they have to investigate and everything else. But once they do that, then that counts. So this is the first time it's going to happen. Here's what could very, very well happen is if there's a close election, it can't be decided on election night. It almost looks like the day after, the second day, the third day, up until 30 days, we might not have elections decided if there's a lot of those types of
Very
votes.
interesting.
Very interesting kind of thing going on here. There's all kinds of interesting things happen with our election process, but let's talk a little bit about fiscal responsibility. You say, I will repair the broken relationship with our Board of Supervisors and promise them a transparent budget process. What do you mean about broken relationship with the Board of Supervisors?
Well, if in Riverside County, it's not a secret that the current sheriff does not have a relationship with the Board of Supervisors. It's very adversarial. There's articles in the paper, it seems like routinely, that highlight this this battle that they have with each other, and it's very interesting because you've got all of them pitted against the sheriff, and how the city government or the county government works with funding. That's what they're fighting over. Is the Board of Supervisors, the 5 elected Board of Supervisors in the county, control the total amount of money that is given to the sheriff's department, but they cannot control where it is spent. They just assume and hope that it's being spent wisely and correctly, and how their constituents would like it spent in their areas. So currently we have a situation where every single year he just demands more money and claims he can't do his job. He's threatened layoffs, he's threatened to close stations, he's threatened to close jails, leave jails, the brand new jail in Indio. He says he's going to leave that empty, a $350 million project. And it's all in a bully attempt at threatening and blackmailing basically the Board of Supervisors into just giving him more money. And that's his answer to everything. And by doing that, he's not responsible for anything. He's not responsible for higher crime rates. He's not responsible for the horrible morale in the department that's causing everyone to leave to other agencies. He's not responsible for any complaints that come in from the public, because the answer is always, it's the Board of Supervisors' fault because they won't give me more money and they won't give me more so I can hire more people. And so that relationship that he has with them is broken. He's not open with his budget. He's not open with telling them and showing them that he is being efficient and doing a good job. And they have come to the point over 10 years that they've had enough. And so it's coming to a head, and it's not pretty. They've said some nasty things back and forth about each other, but the common denominator is the sheriff. He wants everyone to believe that the Board of Supervisors are not in favor of public safety, but the reality is that's the number one responsibility of government, is public safety. And so if any of those Board of Supervisors, who are all elected officials, if one of them gets up and says, I'm not really for the police, and I don't really like fire, and so we're not going to give as much money to them, that wouldn't go over well at all, and you certainly wouldn't vote for them. But that's what the sheriff wants you to believe, that they're not in favor of law enforcement. So the relationship that they have, which they all are, naturally, but we don't have a good relationship. So even if we did need more money for an emergency, or if we did need to hire, the Board of Supervisors is at the point where they don't believe anything he says. So we need to fix that.
Wow, gloves are off here, but that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. People need to know. And, the same thing with talking about, it sounds like what you're about is relationships.
Absolutely. 100%. Everything is about people, and my philosophy. And I don't know if it's a philosophy, but the way I like to live my life is, it's about other people. You put other people before yourself.
Right.
Service above self. And as a police officer, we all get into this job knowing that, if you're out doing your job and you're doing it correctly and how you should, there's a chance that you're going to put your life on the line for someone else. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, we care more about service than we do ourselves. And my personal opinion is that's failed in our administration, in our current leadership in our department, is they care more about themselves than they do other people. And so that's why we're failing.
So building relationships with the community policing?
Community-oriented policing.
Obviously, you have the relationship good. It's good with the rank and file.
It's very good with the rank and file, and we have a lot
of money from them. It would have to be.
It is. I mean, they're very willing to come forward and level that playing field when it comes to money and campaign funds, and that's basically what it's for. It's you have 2,500 or 2,500 representatives of that association that are willing to put forward their money. That you can come up with a lot that way, and you don't have to get huge, large donors.
So we've been speaking with Lieutenant Sheriff Chad Bianco, who is running for sheriff. He's also going to start a new show.
I am going to.
Lieutenant Chad Bianco, and the law.
Tongue twister. I'm going to have to work on that too.
Lieutenant Chad Bianco and the law in Riverside County going to start this Saturday at 10 a.m., and you have a whole lot more to say and to talk about in the next coming weeks before the June primary.
Yes.
June 5th primary. I encourage everybody to get out and vote and tune in. You'll be able to see this program immediately after this program on our podcast. Very soon after that, there'll be also a video cast on Hulu, on Ustream, on Twitter, and not Twitter, Tiki Live.
Tiki Live.
Another T1. And a whole lot of different social media platforms, from iHeart to iTunes to Spreaker to a whole bunch of places.
Nice.
You'll be all over the place. And so
taking advantage of technology.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what you got to do in these days. You got to keep up with it. Take advantage of technology.
We need attention.
Yes, that's okay. Everyone needs attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you, Lieutenant.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate being on.
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
being with you guys. I look forward to the professional relationship we'll have here coming up once I join your ranks.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're joining our ranks. That sounds good. Yeah. Quickly, if they want to know how to get a hold of you, your website is ChadBiancoForSheriff.com.
That's correct.
ChadBiancoForSheriff.com.
And then, also obviously Facebook, Chad Bianco for Sheriff 2018. Then I have my own Chad Bianco personal Facebook page, and I answer to all of them.
And for our listeners, Sheriff is with one R and two Fs.
Yes.
A lot of people misspell that.
Yeah. We never misspell it because we always have it on our patches. If you ever see a sheriff's deputy looking down at his patch, it's to make sure if it's one R.
How do they know how to
one R,
spell?
two Fs, two Fs, one R.
Well, look on your paycheck. Anyway.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much, Lieutenant. Thank you, Andrew.
Yep.
Thank you, Carlos. We'll be back with more of On the Mark. I'm Mark Westwood on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 and 102.3 FM in Riverside.
You've been listening to On the Mark Live with Mark Westwood, a show about KCAA, the world, and you, with more to come in a moment.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-569-9816. That's 800-569-9816. Again, 800-569-9816.
How would you like to have a large portion of your credit card debt completely forgiven, both the principal and interest? National Credit Card Relief wants to give you free information that shows you how. Thousands of people have used